Hello, everyone. Welcome to November's Habitat Learn and Ask with Habitat Charlotte Region. It's wonderful to see you all, even if it is in our virtual environment. Before we get started and we get into the nitty-gritty of what we're talking about today, I have a few points of housekeeping. First, if you have a question at any time during the presentation, there is a questions tab in your control panel, which is usually to the right of your screen. You can ask the question at any time. We'll be pausing for questions a few times during it and at the very end. So feel free to use that at any time. Also, we are talking about our community impact report today. And at the end of this, if you still want to learn more and you want to see what the community impact report actually looks like, if you go into the handout section of your control panel, you'll actually get to see it. And you guys will actually be among the first people to see it because we just finished it this week for this. So it is shiny and new and you guys get to enjoy it. Feel free to look at it, ask us any questions about it, and also share it around. We're really proud of what we've accomplished in the last year. So we hope you enjoy it as well. And I think that's all the housekeeping we have. So I'm just gonna make it nice and simple, and I'm gonna pass it over to our president and CEO, Laura Belcher, so she can get into what's in the community impact report. Laura?
Great. Thank you, Alex. I want to say a word of welcome to everybody that is joining us today. It is good to be with you, even if it is a bit remote. And so we are today going to spend a little bit of time talking about some of what has been going on. Fiscal year 2020 was a year like no other. So today I'm going to walk through some of the details that made the year unique. And those are things that are covered in the community impact report that Alex said is kind of hot off the press. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about an update on our merger, where our COVID response stands, and then I'm going to share some of the exciting work that we've completed and a little bit of a glimpse of what's to come. As I move through those topics, I'll pause just momentarily each time to see if there's questions in the question box. I'll also leave some time at the end to address any questions that you might have about things going on at Habitat. So let me start with the merger, right? Many of you are aware that in January, the boards of our town's Habitat and Habitat Charlotte voted to approve a merger of our two affiliates, and that was effective March 1st. And this was an intentional and strategic decision after working together on some shared services over the past year and a thorough period of due diligence that really resulted in the two boards, coming together and saying that, a regional approach to what we're doing would be ideal. So we brought together our brands, our dedicated staffs, our amazing partner family, supporters, and we created this new Habitat Charlotte Region affiliate. So as one entity, the new affiliate has served over 28 families from Pineville to Statesville. Additionally, we're partnering globally with families in Cambodia, El Salvador, and Guatemala. So with a combined staff of 175, we're really positioned to serve more families. And that was truly the guiding principle of the merger. It was really to look at how coming together would allow us to serve more families than working apart. We believe that by combining the two affiliates, we're able to leverage economies of scale to reduce operating costs and improve our purchasing power so that we should be able to reduce expenses by close to $6 million over the next decade, and we'll invest those savings in serving more families. So to date, we've done a lot to bring these two organizations together and create a smooth organization, a smooth operation. We've integrated legacy donor and volunteer databases so that we've got single platforms to ease communications with all of you, our donors and supporters. We've updated our family services policy so that we can combine the elements of what each affiliate was doing and serve our families in stronger and new ways. We've deployed some organizational-wide cloud technology, which has been really helpful as we work remotely more now than ever before. We've consolidated our construction materials and procurement to try and streamline our procurement process and find savings and economies of scale there. And we've launched a new Habitat Charlotte Region website and digital and social media channels, and hope that you have had a chance to visit the new website and those things. Now, we've accomplished a lot and I'm so proud of what the organization has done and the team's dedication. We still have a bit more to do, and so a couple of our priorities really are in the construction area. We are continuing over the next several months to allow us to bring those construction operations more together, right? And so we have streamlined and consolidated our house plans, brought them together so that we've got three bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom plans that are all addressing family needs. And we're expanding our townhome plans to further diversify our housing product. We plan to continue to expand our critical home repair program. Critical home repairs are projects that are primarily for seniors on fixed incomes where we partner with homeowners to address deferred maintenance of their home. We restore the home to a safe place to age in place. Our plan for fiscal year 21 is to grow the program by 58% over 2020, with exponential growth planned for the northern region. We've begun hosting community outreach sessions for critical home repair projects in the northern part of our region. We've had 2 virtual events last week and have 4 more planned over the next 90 days. Now, by combining the service area, we're fortunate to work with multiple towns and municipalities, and each one has unique housing needs. You know, when you think about it, the goals for housing in Statesville differ from Davidson or from the city of Charlotte compared to Mooresville. So we're mapping out all the needs and programs that most align with each community's desires. And we're building relationships with the cities, towns, county staff, and elected officials in all 11 municipalities that we now work in. We're also looking for community partnerships and expanding on work that has been started. We've got work that we're doing with the Hope House Foundation and Ada Jenkins, and our 3 organizations are leveraging each of our mission strengths to work together in the Cornelius area. The Habitat will partner to provide financial literacy and identify ways that Hope House Foundation and Ada Jenkins clients can become homeowner ready. In all, our plan next year is to serve more families. In fact, 70 more families is our goal in 2021. Now, we project the work will involve our combined efforts from new home construction to the rehabilitation of purchased homes to critical repairs of owner-occupied homes and the expansion of our financial literacy program, Money Matters. Now, that's a lot to take in on the merger, so I'm going to pause just for a second and see if there's any other questions about the merger before I move on.
I have a question that I don't know if you have an answer to off the top of your head.
I'll give it a try.
As you talk about the combined efforts of new home construction, rehab, purchased homes, do you have an idea on how that breakdown will look next year as we move into a little bit less of new construction, a little bit more of like purchase homes?
Yeah, so our plan for next year, for fiscal year 21, is that we'll do 36 new homes. We'll do 24 rehabilitated, recycled homes. We'll do 126 critical repairs, and probably in excess of 85 families will participate in financial literacy. So that's kind of how we're launching into the new year post-merger. Excellent. Well, why don't I keep going, and let me spend a few minutes talking about how we've addressed the COVID activity. So you might remember that I mentioned that the merger was effective March 1st, and it was really the week of March 16th when we started seeing the impacts of COVID-19's pandemic reach our community. We immediately saw this impact on our partner families and on low-income residents across the community. In Mecklenburg and Iredell counties, almost 30% of households live in housing that is not affordable. The Charlotte Observer ran a story a couple of months ago highlighting that low-income families were struggling to pay their bills, their rents, their mortgages, utilities. And sadly, at Habitat Charlotte, 1 in 3 of our partner families has been negatively impacted by the pandemic through loss of work, reduced wages, or increased medical costs. This impact was clearly seen by a spike in mortgage payment delinquencies that started in March and has continued through the pandemic. In fact, it's increased threefold since the start of the outbreak. Now, our family services team has done amazing work, and they have worked hard to pair our impacted families with available public resources. So we've directed folks to the Charlotte COVID Mortgage Relief Assistance Program, and we've also raised funds and created our own mortgage relief. So we're thankful to many donors, some of which are on this call today, that have given us the resources to be able to work directly with our families that are so challenged. Now, the majority of families that we partner with are families of color, and we know that COVID negatively impacts low-income families of color at a much higher rate. So we anticipate our families are going to continue to face economic challenges for the future, and we are continuing to make working with them a priority. Now, one way we just demonstrated our commitment to families was the way that we adjusted our construction priorities when the pandemic hit. In mid-March, the Habitat Charlotte region quickly mobilized our construction teams to regroup and focus through an all-hands-on-deck approach to new home construction. We temporarily suspended our critical home repair work, and we redeployed the critical home repair staff onto new construction programs. Our goal was to get as many families in process safely into their new homes. And I'm really thrilled to share that as a result, we were able to finish and close 14 homes in the span of 90 days. This ensured the safety and security of our newest Habitat homeowners. Now, with the start of the new fiscal year that began in July, our work was to resume operations and do as much as we could to adjust operations based on the pandemic. So since the start of the pandemic, what we did is we closed and then safely reopened all 7 of our Charlotte restores. We're thrilled that they're all open and running now, and we hope that you get a chance to visit them often. We've moved 25 families into new homes. And as I mentioned, we suspended our critical home repair program, but we got it restarted. We wanted to suspend it to make sure that we really looked at how to reactivate it in a safe and appropriate way, and we've done that, and we're thrilled, and we've completed about 50 repairs since the start of the fiscal year. Now, when I am looking ahead, our operations, while they've been modified, we are committed to helping more families than ever through building, repairing, preserving. And so during the past year, the convergence of existing shortages in affordable housing, the COVID pandemic, and the heightened awareness of our nation's struggles with racial inequity brings us to an inflection point. As an organization, we've always advocated for social and racial justice, and the current environment reminds us of our roots, but how much more we need to do. Homeownership in Mecklenburg County for families of color is 42%. While for white families, it's 69%. That's almost a 50% difference. This gap drives differences in family wealth and impacts generations. And we'll continue to raise awareness of the inequities in housing policies and the benefits of affordable homeownership and increasing economic mobility in this community. Now, it's our hope that we will begin re-engaging group volunteers in January, specifically around the MLK weekend build. So stay tuned to how that is going to evolve and how the MLK weekend will be the start of our beloved community work through the first quarter of the new year. Our work has never been needed or desired more. A couple of weeks ago, we opened up an online application period for 1 week, and we received over 475 applications from the community, residents seeking affordable homeownership. Now, knowing that we can't serve all that need through new construction, we did roll out last year a new financial literacy program, Money Matters. Now, Money Matters is a program that's open to the community to learn more about what it takes to become homeowner ready. The 3-session curriculum focuses on how families and individuals can be better prepared for the step of home ownership, and it helps participants really plan for the future, whether they're ultimately going to apply for a home with Habitat or with a traditional mortgage provider. The demand for these classes has exceeded our expectations. We're offering them in a virtual cohort style, and we maxed out registration for the current session that's going on right now and have a waiting list for the one that's offered in January. So we're looking at how we can continue to scale that. We're also utilizing technology in all kinds of new ways, like on this call. We've also turned to virtual trainings for our 15-week homeowner in progress trainings, home dedications, donor events. So we're trying to be very creative during this new time of COVID. Who would have predicted that, COVID would be have such an impact on all of our daily lives and in the way that Habitat delivers our commitments to the future. As an organization, we're planning for the future. And even though the future and the path is not completely visible to us, we know that the need to stand strong in the face of challenges is important, and that despite a healthcare crisis, we're living in an affordable housing crisis as well, and our community needs our creativity and our determination. Now, let me pause here for a moment and see if there's questions about COVID or the pandemic and how that has affected Habitat. I can address those, and then I can move on.
There's one about Money Matters, which kind of came at the end of the COVID part.
Yeah.
And people are wondering where they can get more information on that program.
Yeah, absolutely. So on our website, habitatcltregion.org, you can find information under our programs and services, and there's information there. And so if you know somebody that would benefit from that program, we would love to have them sign up, and they can go ahead and register or get on our waiting list.
And I popped a link to that in our chat as well. Just if
Perfect.
anyone's like frantically scribbling notes down, it's habitatcltregion.org.
Perfect.
Touched on it a bit. Do you know when volunteers will be able to come back on a regular basis? Like, is the Beloved Community Build a special one, or is that kind of when we're hoping that volunteers will be able to start coming back on the site?
Our hope is that we'll be able to start engaging volunteers starting that MLK weekend and into the future. So that would be kind of the launch of re-engaging volunteers. We'll do it differently than we've done it historically. Smaller groups, good safety protocols, all of that. But we know volunteers are eager to get back out on job sites, and we are so touched by that desire, and we miss working with our volunteers. So we'll continue to look at community trends and things like that, but our hope is to get going in January. So keep your eye out for additional invitations and opportunities. Great. Well, why don't I go ahead and walk through the rest, and then we'll open it up for questions at the end. So I've kind of focused on now kind of the COVID activity, and that's not always the most fun to talk about. So I want to make sure that I do share the things that we want to celebrate and the amazing work that did get done in 2020 that was unique. And really the first is around an ambitious project that we did called Red Vest Way. This was an opportunity for us to build 21 units in a community. It was a raw land development project taken on by the affiliate, and while it was delayed in its start because of a very rainy fall a year and a half ago, it's been a wonderful success. So we've got 21 families that have moved in. Over the course of the project, we had over 50 corporate and faith partners work with us. Over 4,200 volunteers came out and built, and we have this beautiful new neighborhood. You can see from the shot, that we've got a beautiful streetscape, and many of the partner families started their financial literacy classes together, and so they knew each other as they moved in, and they've created neighborhood. Children playing on the cul-de-sac. You can see we've got the trees. Most importantly, we've created stability and safety for these families. You can see from the image, we've got varying housing styles, single story, two-story, different elevations, all of that resulting in a vibrant new community. With Red Vest Way complete, we're looking at what's to come, right? So what are we going to be working on in the coming months? So early in 2021, we're going to start work on a great project with the town of Morrisville. We're going to be constructing 6 new townhomes at Mills Avenue. It's a great partnership between Habitat and the town, and we're excited to bring the reality of home ownership to 6 new families in Morrisville. Additionally, this year, we'll start engineering and infrastructure to break ground on our Morris Field project. This is a really exciting and ambitious new home construction project. We're going to use 9 acres of land donated by the city of Charlotte, and we plan to build 47 single-family homes in this community on Charlotte's west side. Now, the new development will be built on the historical site of the former Plato Price High School. It was built by and for Black members of our community, and we're honored to be able to bring the reality of homeownership to this site. We continue to diversify our product offerings, and we'll increase the number of homes we purchase and rehab this year. In light of working with less volunteers on new home construction, we have increased our work on acquiring existing homes, and particularly with a project in conjunction with the City of Charlotte. So we plan to do 26 projects this year on existing homes, which will allow us to introduce more families to affordable home ownership. Now, I could go on and on. I think you can tell that I am proud of the work that the team at Habitat Charlotte Region does. They have been tremendous through all of the challenges this year with the pandemic. They have embraced the merger and gotten to know their new teammates. And we are actively planning for the future and not backing down despite the challenges. So I'm going to stop there and see what additional questions are out there and what I can address for the audience.
Real quick, I'm going to step in and answer a question. And someone asked, is this being recorded? And the answer is yes. And it will be on our YouTube channel later after this as well.
Great.
But into questions for Laura. This is a very interesting question. Any thoughts about retrofitting the overstock of commercial space for affordable housing?
You know, that's an interesting question. I think, I think all ideas on how we can increase the availability of affordable housing. So whether or not that is an ideal solution for home ownership, where Habitat focuses, I'm not sure, but I think it could be a really interesting opportunity to really look at what are the affordable housing needs across the spectrum, right? So do we have shelter opportunities that could use retrofitted space, or single room occupancy kind of rental solutions. So there's interesting projects that are being experimented with across the country, and so we're watching those. And Habitat Charlotte is part of a collaboration across the community where all of the affordable housing developers, nonprofit developers get together. So both rental and shelter and home ownership, and we share ideas and opportunities together. So I think that there's potential in that, and I think we need to, as a community, look at all kinds of creative ways to address housing needs.
Do you have any idea on how long the mortgage payment delinquencies will continue?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'd love to see the results or the impact of the pandemic lessen on our community, especially on our low income families across the entire community. I think that we're seeing a little bit of stabilization for our families that feel like things are a little more predictable, which I think will be helpful. But I think that it's hard to know exactly what, as we round the calendar into 2021, what the economic impacts of the pandemic are going to be, especially within the service industries, right? Entertainment and hospitality, food services, things of that sort. I know from the report that was put out from the state that 257,000 North Carolinians had lost health insurance during this pandemic because of job losses and things like that. So I fear that our mortgage delinquencies will track the overall economic recovery of the Charlotte region.
This one's a bit of a merger question. Do you have a T-shirt with the new Habitat Charlotte region logo on it? And if so, where is it available for purchase?
That is a great question. We are working on some new T-shirt designs, actually, with the Habitat Charlotte region logo. And so as soon as we get some of those done, we will be able to get those out and about. We'll probably make them available through some of our restores and things of that sort. So stay tuned. We are working on those. Great question. Thank you.
And if you very much need a shirt with our new logo on it, we have a few extra women build shirts that will be making their way into the restores and Julia's soonish.
Soonish, absolutely. So, the women's build has long been a tradition in the Habitat Charlotte region. 29 years ago, the first women's build was in Charlotte, and then the model was adopted across the country and rolled out in over 300 communities across the country. So this year's was a little bit different. We did not build with volunteers, but we did build for a woman-led head of household, and we're excited that that relationship and that project has continued. And in our tradition, we did do women build T-shirts. So if any of you are collectors of women's build T-shirts, there is one for 2020, and we can get you that. And then stay tuned for what 2021 is going to bring, because that'll be our 30th anniversary of the first women's build, and we'll try and celebrate that and honor all of the history and the strength that empowering women to be homeowners has helped to the community.
All right, and this one I struggle very hard to figure out how to make this a question, but it's something that just happened this week or the end of last week. So I don't think it quite made it into our community impact report. But we just started our 1,000th critical home repair project across the region.
Yeah, we are hitting all kinds of milestones to celebrate, quite honestly. So, I just mentioned the 30th anniversary of Women's Build. We are working on our 1,000th critical home repair. So, really have seen the combined effort of what that can do across the community and how that program has grown over the years. We're closing in on serving collectively our 3,000th family in the Charlotte region. When we add in our global impact, we're closing in on even new milestones. So there's lots to celebrate. Lots of great work is being done. We can't do that without the support of our volunteers and our donors and our corporate partners and our faith partners. So we are so thankful for the way that everybody in this community has embraced the Habitat model and how it enables us to serve families with your support.
That looks like it's the end of the questions that we have. I'm sure as soon as I say that, a bunch more are going to come in. But I will say, if you think of a question, as soon as we end this webinar and you're like, oh man, I wish I had asked that, you'll get an email from GoToWebinar after this saying thank you for being this webinar. You can always reply to that email and it will come to me, and either I can answer your question or I can pass it on to Laura or someone who can better answer your question. So we are always here to help. Don't forget that community impact report is in the handout section. I also put a link to it in the chat if you would rather look at it digitally instead of in a PDF. We have a fancy new PDF flipper, so you can hear the page flip. It's just like you have it in person. If you're really missing that in-person report. That's all I have. Laura?
That's great. Well, I just want to say thank you for making the time, the way that everybody has been engaged and supportive of Habitat. We appreciate that. Fiscal year 2020 is in the books and behind us. We're excited for what fiscal year 21 can bring. So I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today, and hope that you all stay healthy and safe and enjoy the upcoming holidays. So take care.
Bye, everyone.